Hello, dear polymer clay enthusiasts. I'm Mihaela from Learn Polymer Clay, and I'm back with more inspiration for your work with polymer clay. I hope you are having a wonderful time today. And for me, Valentine's Day is more than celebrating romantic relationships. It has everything to do with love, with a capital L. So it also means love for the special people in your life, love for your art, and in the same time, love for yourself. In my opinion, self-love is equally very important. So in order to celebrate love, I have prepared a third and last tutorial of the Valentine's Day series, and I hope that you'll find it interesting, and I hope that you'll find inspiration for your work in polymer clay in this tutorial. Let's dive into the tutorial. I'm working with white polymer clay that I have previously conditioned and passed through the largest setting of my pasta machine, and then I'm going to use a ballerina silhouette to cut out a ballerina shape. And you can download this ballerina silhouette from learnpolymerclay.com, and it is free for personal and commercial use. So I'm just using my craft knife and I'm cutting the ballerina shape. And then you'll just have to remove the scrap clay and take the time to smooth off the edges. So I'm making sure that my piece looks nice, so I'm removing any excess clay. I'm making further cuts to have a nice, beautiful ballerina shape. And then I realized there was a piece that I have to cut out. There is a negative space between the arm and the body of the ballerina. And then I'm just using my fingers and the back of the craft knife, the handle of the craft knife, to smooth off the edges. And to make sure that I have a nice, beautiful shape for the ballerina. It is a little bit harder to work with white clay. You have to be very careful to keep it white, so you have to keep I don't know, baby wipes near to clean the white polymer clay, and also use the craft knife to remove any scrap clay or I don't know, dust or anything that could be trapped to your white polymer clay. And then I just used the blade, the back of the blade, not the cutting part of the blade, to make simple lines. And this is going to be the back of the piece, so I'm just using the dotting tool, and I've also used the blade to make simple, straight, radiating lines to have a nice back for the piece, nice and simple back for the piece. And then I just flipped the piece over, and I'm using the dotting tool, and I'm pushing the polymer clay inwards to create a beautiful texture for the tutu ballerina dress. And then I am going to use white polymer clay and gold foil to make the upper part of the dress. And I decided to pass the white polymer clay through a thinner setting. I'm using now setting number 5 of my Atlas pasta machine. Then I put the foil on top, I burnished it with my fingers, and then I'm using a very detailed stamp, and a lot of pressure and my acrylic roller to impress an embossed design into the foil and into the polymer clay, of course. And then I'm just going to use my craft knife and cut out a decorated part that I am going to use to make the upper part of the dress. And then I will just apply this embossed foil decorated polymer clay piece on top of the body of the ballerina to make the, as I said, the upper part of the dress. So I'm making sure that I have a nice shape for the dress. And it looks like that my piece is a little bit shorter than the piece I would have needed to decorate the upper part of the body. But you can always cut small pieces of polymer clay and press them into the design and create a beautiful ballerina dress. And then I just took the scrap clay and I put it through the pasta machine. Again, I used the setting number 5 of my Atlas pasta machine. And then I used the strip of clay without cutting the border, so I have an uneven border. And I'm using this strip of clay mixed with scrap foil to make a nice border for the tutu dress. I'm using a sculpting tool to, I don't know, to make sure that I have smooth edges and I like the shape and everything looks like I want it to look. And then I am going to use red polymer clay that I have previously conditioned, and I'm going to use a small heart-shaped cutter, and I passed the red polymer clay through the setting number 5 of my pasta machine. For my trial piece I used the medium setting, but then I thought I would like it would be better to use a thinner setting, and I like this effect more. And then I just cut 4 polymer clay hearts and I put them one on top of the other I put them next to each other, overlapping them slightly, and then I just pressed them into the base. So again, I'm cutting 4 hearts, I am overlapping them slightly, and then I'm just using them to decorate the tutu dress. And I will cut 3 more hearts to decorate the center of the dress. I'm making sure that there is no air trapped inside the polymer clay. You will have to smooth off the edges to have a nice heart shape. And again, I am slightly overlapping the pieces, and I am using them to decorate the dress. and you might need to use parchment paper to press everything together without leaving fingerprints on your piece. Then I modeled a little bit the upper part of the dress, and then I used the same dotting tool to make small dots into the polymer clay and to have like a, I don't know, the tutu texture. And so you'll just have to, I don't know, to arrange the pieces together and to make sure that you have a nice smooth edges for the piece. And then I decided to turn this piece into a brooch, so I'm using a brooch component, and I just use some polymer clay covered with gold foil and textured with the same stamp, and a heart-shaped cutter. In fact, it's the same heart-shaped cutter, and I cut a foil decorated heart, and I'm using this heart that I am pressing into the base, into the polymer clay, to sandwich the brooch component between two layers of polymer clay. And I've used the dotting tool to have to make a nice impression into the heart shape. But in the same time, I'm making sure that the heart-shaped polymer clay piece is really connected to the base. I'm pressing it into the base while I'm creating that dotting design. So now my piece is ready to go into the oven, and I'm going to put it on a cutter, on a heart-shaped cutter, because I wanted to lay evenly in the oven. And I'm also using a disposable aluminum pan to protect the white clay while baking the polymer clay. And I've baked the piece for 40 minutes at the temperature recommended by the polymer clay manufacturer. And as always, when you are using foil to decorate your pieces, you should think of vernishing these areas. And I even recommend several coats of varnish. I also applied a little bit of varnish on the bottom of the dress, and I decided to mix a little bit of varnish with the red piñata alcohol ink, and glaze the hearts to have a color that's popping up even more. So I hope that you liked the tutorial. I hope that you are inspired to create more using polymer clay. And this is my way of wishing you a very beautiful and happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for watching the tutorial. Please press the like button if you like the tutorial. Please share your comments and your impressions with me, and stay tuned for more inspiration for work with polymer clay. Thank you.